So those who knew the Old Testament scriptures, shouldn't they have been disposed to embrace the Messiah, Christ? And the answer is, yeah, well, it did not affect them as God had meant it to be. We spoke yesterday about Psalm 119, verse 133, about the desire that I want the Word of God to order my life. And then in contrast to that, God speaks to Israel at a certain point in Jeremiah chapter 13, verse 10. And the way he describes the prophet had to hide a belt, put a belt in the ground and let it sort of rot away. And they used that belt for an illustration. And so this evil people, which refuse to hear my words, which walk in the imagination of their heart and walk after other gods to serve them and to worship them, shall even be as this girdle, as this belt, which is good for nothing. Like the belt has a certain purpose. It has the purpose of keeping one's pants up, one's clothes tied together. That's its purpose. But a belt that is rotten, that is in shreds, that is in pieces, cannot serve that purpose. And Israel had a purpose. They had the purpose of representing God in this world. They had the purpose of lifting up His word, His truth, His nature. And at that point in Jeremiah, when Jeremiah was speaking to them, they couldn't be used for that. So when God is speaking about how this nation will be, how this people will be good for nothing, He doesn't mean, they could be a society, they could organize a wedding, they could probably wage a war, they could be, they could be nice people, whatever. But for the purposes of God, for representing the Lord in this world, no, they were unable to do that because they did not have this desire in their lives to say, order my steps according to your word, Lord. They didn't say that. Instead they refused to hear the word. They said, I'm not going to listen to the word. I am not going to listen to the word. And I'm going to just walk in what I imagine in my heart. What I think is right. That's how I'm going to live life. And this is Jeremiah 31:10. And that's a huge warning for, well, basically everyone living today, because this is definitely the way that many people are going in the West, in the wealth, in the, being pampered by society, being rich. They just say, I'm not going to submit to the word of God. I know how I should live life, and that's how I'm going to live life. And God is saying, you're making yourself useless for my purposes. Even if maybe someone is a believer, or we could say it this way, like with the Pharisees, even if you're a hearer of my word, maybe that my word goes in, stirs you up, gets you excited, but it doesn't do anything really. And Jesus says this in John 8:37. This is the consequence of that decision to listen to my own heart instead of listening to God. Jesus says, I know that you are Abraham's seed, but you seek to kill me because my word has no place in you. Okay, so when I fill my heart with my own imaginations, my own purposes, my own smarts, my own desires, whatever, then the word will have no place in me. Like the word tries to find a place in me, but it's not gonna be, it's not gonna be real. It's not gonna be. It's not going to be powerful. It's not going to lead anything. It's not going to do anything. And when Jesus arrives, I'm going to look at him as an enemy, like the Pharisees. When Jesus steps in the picture, when God steps in, I say, what are you doing? You're wrong. You're off, and I'm going to act like an enemy, which is such a scary thought. But it can happen, and it depends very much on the preparation of our hearts, just like it was with the Pharisees and the leaders of the Jewish nation at that time. So that's a heavy duty meditation to have, but I think it's worthwhile. And God bless your day.